Hello everyone, this is Kathy from House of TOEFL, and welcome to my video about speaking question 2. Now this is more of an advanced lesson, so I will be talking at a faster, more natural speed. Now note that YouTube does have a feature that you can slow down the speaker or even speed them up if you prefer, so please feel free to do that if my speaking is too fast for you. But what I'm really trying to do is imitate the speed that is used on the TOEFL. So let's get started about speaking question 2. First, let's go over the basics. Speaking question 2 is integrated. Now, integrated just means there is information that is combined that you put together. So you're using different sources of information to give your response. So this differentiates it from question 1. Question 1 is an independent question. So the first thing you will see on the screen is either an announcement or a proposal. If it's an announcement, it will be explaining a change that will happen on campus. If it's a proposal, it will be recommending a change to happen on campus. Now, this is the type of announcement you might see on the bulletin board of a campus, or perhaps written in the campus newspaper. It will be approximately 100 words and have a title at the top. Now here's some things that you should expect during this prompt. The first thing you see on the screen is that article that I mentioned. It's 100 words thereabouts, and it has a title in bold at the top. The title will look like a newspaper headline. For example, it might say, University to close college fitness center, or college radio station extends broadcasting range. Now notice, just like in a real newspaper, these will not be grammatically correct. So you cannot repeat them exactly word for word. Now the body of the announcement will make two main points. These 2 points will be either why the university is making the change, how they intend to make the change, or what they are doing. You will see this announcement for usually 45 seconds. If it's a longer announcement, you might see it for 50 seconds, and then it will disappear. Okay, it will not come back. You should note down the title and the 2 main points, and we will look at an example in a moment. Next, after it disappears, you will listen to a brief conversation between 2 students, one who is male and one who is female. They will be discussing the announcement. During the conversation on the screen, there will be a picture of these 2 students. The picture will not be moving. The picture will not give you any information. It will just be a still, unmoving picture of 2 students. The announcement does not return to the screen, and you have 30 seconds to prepare your answer for this prompt, and you have 60 seconds to speak. So here's an example. If you wish, you can pause the video here and read it. So, basically, the title says that the university is going to close the library for renovations. The 2 main points is that they're doing this because there's poor lighting, so they're going to put in new overhead lights, and that they're going to give the library a fresh coat of paint because the paint is dull and chipped. Now, 45 seconds is enough to note that down. So let's look at my sample notes. Here we go. Here's my sample notes. First, the title. University is closing the library for renovations. Brighter overhead lights help students read. Library will get fresh paint. The paint is dull and chipped. Now, please note that these notes are not grammatically correct. It doesn't matter because when I go to answer, I'm going to reconstruct this in a way that is grammatically correct. But I don't have time to write down full sentences. So I just write down my key words. The most important thing is for you to understand your own notes. Some students say to me, I can't understand my notes in the TOEFL. Well, of course, you have to understand your own notes. So write clearly and in a way that you can understand. And don't worry about what you write. Your notes are destroyed after the test. No one will ever see them. Oh, here is the conversation example. You do not see the audio script. Now, I did go ahead and record this. I did my best. So here it is now. You can read along, or you can simply not look at the screen and just listen if you want some listening practice. So here's the recording that I made. listen to a conversation between two students.
Did you see this announcement?
Yes, I did, but I don't think it's a good idea.
Why not?
Well, for one thing, what's the problem with the lighting? It's always pretty bright in there because of the big windows. They let in a ton of natural light.
That's true.
Plus, the study desks all have lamps on them. So if you still don't feel like it's bright enough, you can use one of those. I don't know who has been complaining about this.
Right. I use those lamps all the time.
And about the paint, that's just a waste of money. I mean, who cares about the paint on the walls?
Not me.
If the university really wants to improve our experience in the library, they should spend the money on new computers.
No kidding. The computers in the library are so old.
Old and outdated. It's better technology we need, not a new coat of paint. That would really improve our library. Okay, so that's the recording. Now let's go to the next screen and take a look at my notes. Now I like to write a line down the middle and woman on one side and man on the other. You'll notice I did write a little bit about the man, but not very much. I can guess from the very beginning of the conversation who they're going to ask me about. It's the person who does the most talking, and that's where I focus my notes. So as you can see, my notes about the man are very, very small and brief and unimportant. So as far as the woman is concerned, I wrote not a good idea and no problem with lighting bright because big windows, natural light, study desks have lamps, paint is waste of money, nobody cares about the paint, to improve student experience, new computers, computers old, out of date, need better tech. Again, these are sentence fragments, they're not grammatically correct. But as long as I can understand them, that's all that matters. And I can understand what I've written down here, and I can reconstruct it into the correct way. Now, here's a basic template. Now, I want to say that there's no right or wrong template. You've probably seen many templates online, and that's fine. This is just the one that I use. It works for me. According to the announcement, repeat the title, and, because there's 2 points. So in order for you to remember that, use and. Remember, when you repeat the title, repeat it in a grammatically correct way, not exactly word for word. And you can say the man or the woman agrees or disagrees with this for 2 reasons, or you can say supports or doesn't support this for 2 reasons. First, and then the main idea, also supporting details. In addition, second main idea, and supporting details. No conclusion is necessary here, but if you have an extra few seconds, you can say something like, for these reasons, the woman doesn't agree with the announcement, but it's not necessary and it won't really affect your score. It's just if you have a little extra time. So the sample prompt might be, the woman expresses her opinion about the university's plan, briefly summarize the plan, then state her opinion and explain the reasons she gives for holding that opinion. Then you're given 30 seconds to prepare, and the 30 seconds count down on the clock. Then you have 60 seconds to speak, and the 60 seconds, again, it counts down. So here's my sample response. According to the announcement, the university is going to close the library for renovations. They're going to put in bright overhead lights to make it easier to read, and they're going to paint the walls, since the paint is dull and chipped. The woman disagrees with this for 2 reasons. First, she says there is no problem with the lighting in the library. The library gets plenty of natural light because there are many large windows. Also, the study desks all have lamps on them, so students can use those if it isn't bright enough. In addition, she believes that painting the library is a waste of money. She says nobody cares about the paint on the walls and that if the university wants to improve students' experience, they should put the money into buying new computers. The ones they have are old and out of date. For these reasons, the woman doesn't agree with the announcement. Okay, now I didn't time that, but it should have been about 60 seconds. Let's talk about some do's and don'ts of this prompt. One thing you want to do is summarize the reading no matter what the prompt says. Okay, this is very important. Sometimes the prompt just says, the woman gives her opinion about the announcement, explain her opinion. And it doesn't ask you about the announcement. But they show it to you for 45 to 50 seconds. So obviously, they want you to summarize it. I do not know why the ETS does not make the prompts the same every time you take this question, but they don't. Sometimes they ask you to summarize the prompt, sometimes the announcement, sometimes they don't. But I want you to summarize it no matter what. It is important to your score. And you should spend 12 to 15 seconds on it, not too much more than that. You could go to 20 seconds, but certainly not more than 20 seconds. Call the students the man and the woman, and I'll get to why in a second. Make sure your subjects and your verbs agree. So say the man supports, the woman disagrees. The number one mistake is subject-verb agreement errors. I talked about that in another video. And make sure you include the supporting details. So remember for this prompt, the woman said there were big windows, but she also added there were study lamps. So you can't just talk about the windows and get a full score. You have to also talk about the study lamps. So you need the supporting information as well. There's always a main point supporting, and then another main point and a supporting point. Now let's go over some don'ts. Don't ignore the reading. Again, no matter what the prompt says, don't ignore the reading. You must summarize it. Don't try to put the reading in your own words, okay? A lot of students think they need to paraphrase, but then they use the wrong word. Let me give you an example. I said in the announcement, it said that the paint is dull. A student might say, oh, dull means boring. So I'll say the paint is boring. But actually, you cannot say paint is boring in English. Paint can't be boring, but it can be dull. And when students try to paraphrase, they run into these kinds of errors. So even though you might have heard before, paraphrase the reading, it's not true for the speaking section, okay? It is true for the writing section. Don't call the student the female student, the male student. Now, I just want you to say the man, the woman. Why? Because it's always correct. Why do I bring this up? Because I've had students say the female woman, the male man, and that doesn't make sense in English. Okay, you're saying the same thing twice. Let's keep it simple. The man, the woman. Easy. And don't say boy and girl because these are college students. They're not children. Boy and girl, that means children. So I hear that a lot. Don't do that. Don't try to use idioms you're not comfortable with. So some students will say, right off the bat, the man disagrees. Now, that's not wrong, but I've heard students say right on the bat or right under the bat. So it's best to just avoid these idioms and try to repeat exactly what you heard. Okay, another thing I hear a lot is people say, students discuss about. Don't say about, okay? In English, we say talk about. We don't say discuss about, okay? Big mistake. You can say the students discuss the announcement. That's fine. The students discuss about the announcement. Wrong. Don't spend more than 20 seconds on the announcement, okay? Students who spend 30 or 40 seconds do not have enough time to summarize the conversation. Also, don't give your opinion about anything. Don't say, I think this is a great announcement. No, you're a reporter. You're just reporting what you heard. No opinion necessary on this question. And finally, don't confuse proposals with announcements. I'm gonna get to that right now. Okay, how to deal with proposals. Some announcements are actually proposals, and there are a few ways that you can tell the difference between an announcement and a proposal. First of all, what is a proposal? Proposals are suggestions for a change that a student thinks should be made at the university. They look like a letter that would be printed in a college newspaper. Now, the way you can identify them is they will use the pronoun I, then verbs like think, believe, and feel. So universities don't refer to their institution as I. They don't do that. So if you see I, it's probably a proposal. And universities typically don't say think, feel, or believe. And you might see the word should, because should is a modal verb. It's used for recommendations, so that's a possibility as well. Oftentimes the letter is signed at the bottom. It isn't always, but much of the time it is. And that definitely means it's a proposal. So if it says sincerely and then a student name, then it's a proposal. The good news is there's very little difference with how you deal with the proposal. But you must say, according to, you can still say the reading, the announcement, or the proposal, that's fine. But you have to say something like, the student thinks the university should. Do not say the university is going to, okay? Because the university might reject this proposal, they might ignore it, or they might not even read it. So that's the biggest difference, is that you have to say the student thinks the university should. That is the number one difference, and that is how you deal with a proposal. This is just a quick example of a proposal. You can pause the video here just so you get an idea of what it looks like. Go ahead and pause the video and read this. Okay, so clearly you can see the difference. It says, I think, and it has the word should, and it says, sincerely, Mary Smith. This is obviously a student proposal. Okay, so that wraps up our video about prompt number 2. Thank you for watching as always. My name is Kathy, and I'm the owner of the website www.houseoftoefl.com. Please feel free to go to my website. I have a blog there, and my videos are all there for every speaking type and also for the reading and the writing. There's a lot of resources there. You can also take private lessons with me or get speaking or writing evaluations. So that's it for today. As always, good luck on your test.